Hello. I have the day off from work tomorrow because it's gonna be freaking freezing. Yeah, so I just got the call that we are not having school tomorrow, which is fine by me. I do not want to be at work when it is going to be minus degrees outside. No thank you. No thank you. I will not do that. So I'm actually in the process of uploading and scheduling last week's vlog, so I figured I'd start this one. I also got my Instagram reel for the week updated and everything, so it's going great. So basically here is what the plan is for the rest of the night. I have the rest of my to-do list, which includes starting this new vlog, which I can cross off. I'm going to read the entirety of The Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince by Hobb before I do anything else, like project-wise or anything, because that's a 150-page-ish novella. I can get that done. And then I think I'm gonna start Death of the Author because tomorrow is the release of Onyx Storm, and hopefully my book will have arrived at my mom and dad's tomorrow so that I could possibly go and get it. But this vlog will mostly be revolving around Onyx Storm if I'm able to get it tomorrow, because basically everything goes out the window when Onyx Storm hits. This will be my first time really reading a book when it's released, you know, shortly after it's been released kind of thing. I'm dropping everything to be able to read that when I get my hands on it. And my mom I sent my mom a picture of the email that we got for school being canceled, and she goes, woo! But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, is until I get Onyx Storm in my hands, I'll get through a couple more things. At the very least, I'll get through one more book for sure and get started with another one, and then everything is being dropped for Onyx Storm. I have 2 books that are coming out next week. Yeah, next Tuesday I've got 2 books that are coming out. One is The Night is Defying, and I think the other one is Mask of the Deer Woman. That was a book I wanted to read for the Native Lady Book Warriors thing, the year-long read-a-thon thing. I can't speak apparently. It's for Studis. So Studis, the book that I decided to pick up was Mask of the Deer Woman, which comes out, oh, it actually comes out tomorrow. Awesome. So I'm gonna probably go get that tomorrow as well. Yeah, I think I could do that. I could either get it tomorrow or maybe next week. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. I don't have anything else really going on other than work and stuff. I have a lot in terms of like coordinating stuff still that I have to get through. I still have not really heard on anything about my preliminary building where I'm gonna be. Tomorrow I was gonna start back up with going back to the high school for my observation hours, but I don't need to until Wednesday because we don't have school tomorrow now. But other than that, this week should be fairly normal. On Friday we had our 100 days of school party, and I don't think there was anything else going on this week in particular for like the class I'm in, except that my hope is that sometime this week I can pull aside a kid that I'm gonna be working, that I kind of want to work with for my case study, or at the very least like switch places with my para for a day and observe him, and like basically do some testing of him. I feel like though he's not necessarily the best example of what I want to use for my case study, because I think he is a little bit more advanced than is required for my case study. But I had to fill out a quiz where one of the questions was more so like a check-in point for my professor to be like, okay, like, do you have any questions about like how with your case study, all this stuff? And I was like, so the kid that I'm currently working with is not diagnosed ASD, and there is a kid in her class that is diagnosed ASD, but he is much more advanced in terms of his language capabilities than most of the other ASD kids that there are. And so he's like, can I use him? Is it appropriate if I use him, or do you want me to use someone that is much less, much further much further back on the scale that we're looking for. So I am waiting for her to respond to that, but we shall see. So I'm kind of like a little, things are up in the air right now. I don't really have any answers to anything as of yet, and it's a little aggravating, but it is what it is. I'm trying to remain in my locus of control and all that. Also, Robert and I are going to be getting a new bed frame because, reasons. Yeah. Basically our entire bed frame snapped right down the middle. So we had to get a new bed frame. That's coming in tomorrow. So that'll be built by him because I'm not gonna do that. I took apart our bed frame because it was easy. I'm not putting it together, the new one. Ain't gonna happen. So, also, I want to show you guys my crochet project I've been working on because I've been doing a lot of crochet stuff recently. So yesterday I spent a little bit of time doing some crocheting. I'm currently still on my Jack Skellington project, but he's coming along real nicely. So I've got, where's the feet? The feet are right here. So these are his little feeties right here, these little nubbins. And then we're working on his body. He's gonna be a big plushie. He's gonna be big, big. But I learned how to do an increasing crochet stitch all by myself, watching one video twice of how to do it. And I am currently in the process of many increasing stitches and single crochet stitches as well. I did one section last night. I have 3 more of those to go, which I'm gonna do one tonight, hopefully with an audiobook. I had to get a whole new thing of yarn, and I'm probably gonna have to go get another one. But I did also want to talk about that. I would like to basically make what they call a temperature blanket, which is essentially like you make a blanket, but each row is designated with like a certain temperature, and so then each temperature corresponds to a color type of yarn. And like you make the blanket for the entire year, and each row is like a day in that year of like, okay, this was the temperature this day, this temperature this day, that kind of thing. But I've seen people do it where they do a temperature blanket, but instead of it being temperature based, it's star rating based on their books, which is what I want to do. So I went out Saturday. Part of my excursion on Saturday when I went out with my parents was Robert and I went to Michael's, and I got a bunch of yarn. So I got this gray one, which it's kind of hard to tell in this light. Let me turn the overhead light on and it'll make it easy. So I got this gray yarn for any DNFs that I have because I do want to include DNFs, and I'm kind of making it follow this spread I have in my bullet journal, which is like all the books I read in the year, which this year includes DNFs. Like I didn't do it last year with DNFs, but I decided to do it this year to add some variety a little bit. So you'll see like I've got a couple 5 stars, mostly 4 stars, and 1 DNF right here in the gray. So I kind of wanted it to fit a little bit like that, what I have in my bullet journal. So I've got gray for DNFs. I have this dark green for my 5 stars, a little bit more of a lighter green, almost like, what do they call this? This is called sage. This is for any 4 stars. I could not find any orange, to my surprise, so I decided to go with kind of like this pale yellow, which is called light yellow sorbet. Decided to go with that for a 3 star. Went with this golden yellow for a 2 star. This is the color mustard. And then I decided to go with red for my 1 stars, which this is red. So I decided to do it this way. Like I said, this is replacing an orange. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like this. If I find an orange, I'm going to replace it. But at this point, I haven't had any 3 stars. I've had mostly 4 stars this year. So I'll have several rows of this, but I started off the year with a 5-star book that I finished. So I'll have a row of this, a row of the gray, and then like probably 3 or 4 rows of this sage color. And then my last read I finished was a 5-star, so back to the dark green, or as they call it here, forest. This is the forest color. So I'm really excited for this. I am so proud of myself that I ended up picking up crocheting, because it was one of those things where like I did not think I was going to get any enjoyment out of it, and I did not think I was going to be any good at it. And I am so proud of the fact that in the last several years, I think specifically since I've become an adult, I've been more excited to try new things and excited to do new things, and like actually seeing through some project ideas and persevering through them. Like I was struggling a little bit at first with this Jack Skellington project with the yarn in the kit that I had not being very easy for me to use, but all it took was me making a simple change of like the type of yarn and going up to like the biggest size that I could find so that I could figure out how to manipulate it. That like, and it just changed everything. And then even the stitches that I don't know, like it took me a long time to figure out how to do a single crochet. And once I figured it out, it's been like easy peasy. And I'm just like so grateful that I have grown so much in the last few years, where that, because I would say like even 3 years ago, I would be giving up on this like nobody's business. I would not be doing this at all because I would have given up a long time ago. I would have given up from the get-go with the yarn not working. I would have given up the whole thing completely and never touched it again. And so I'm very happy to see within myself and see myself be able to go through with this and actually like do really well with it, because I'm having a blast doing it. I don't think I'm ever gonna do stuff that I would sell to anybody. Like I think I would definitely be like my grandma, where she's just making things for people just because. I don't know though if I'll necessarily make blankets for other people. I feel like though it'll be something more like I just make a lot of stuff for myself, because I'm still a little slow at it. I'm still, you know, figuring out the mechanics and everything, but I'm getting better. So I don't know. I'm not going to say never, but I will definitely say I don't think at this point in time I am looking to either sell anything or make anything for anybody else, because I don't feel like I'm at that point yet with my crochet journey. But now it is taking everything within me to not buy a bunch of different crochet pattern books, because I saw one for like Pokemon and I saw one for magical creatures like dragons and stuff like that, and it took all of my willpower to just get the yarn that I needed on Saturday. Like I seriously was like, oh, I really want to get these pattern books, but first I need to get through all of the projects that are in my Nightmare Before Christmas one. When I get through that and I make my blanket, then we can move on to something else. Or maybe other people are the ones that have to get me the pattern books. I can't get them myself, because otherwise I'm going to do nothing but focus on those, and I'm going to forget the rest of the projects that I'm working on. So there's that. But I am very thrilled with how things have been going. I'm very happy with how things are going for me right now. And this video that I just sent to get posted is now ready to be posted. So I'm going to go and do that and then go read for a while. I was going to say I'm going to let you guys know what I think about the book that I'm reading, but I think I'm going to reserve that mostly for like people that see like my story graph and stuff like that, and then reserve my thoughts for the live show, because this is one of my books for the live show. So probably not going to really talk about it much here. But I will at least tell you the star rating when I get done. So anyway, I will see you guys later, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so since the bed frame is broken, we moved the bed out here to the living room. I don't exactly know why, other than for me to break the bed frame apart. But then we just got too lazy to move it back to the bedroom. So it's out here. Anyway, decided I'm going to do a few sprints, because got everything else I needed to get done. So we're going to do some dice sprints to get through the Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince. So got my D20 app right here. I'm curious. Oh no, shaking doesn't do anything. Okay, I thought by shaking my phone maybe it will somehow make the dice roll, but I guess that does not work. So anyway, let's go ahead and see what our first sprint is going to be. 17, so that is 20 is 100, 95, 90, 85. 85 minutes. That's just about an hour and a half. I think that's doable. I think I could get through a good chunk of the book, probably like half of the novella in that time. And Robert still is not home, and it's going on 6. So I am starting to worry a little bit, but he did text me a few minutes ago in response to something I texted him, so I at least know he's alive. That's what's important. So anyway, I'm going to go read, and I will see you all in about an hour and a half. Okay, so it is now 2:18 in the afternoon on Tuesday. I did, while I was reading, get an email that I also have tomorrow off because it's freaking cold outside. So, whole other day of not doing much of anything, so I only have 2 days to work this week, which I'm okay with. I'm good. So I did finish The Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince and ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars after putting it through Compile. This is the prequel novella that basically helps set up the world and the lineage that's going on in the Farce trilogy and the Realm of the Elderlings. Really like this a lot. I found that it was really entertaining, and overall just really a really cool way to set up the world, and I think it really helped to understand the politics of the world and like what exactly there is in terms of like the wit and what that means, and how the wit, people that have the wit are basically like seen in this world kind of thing. Excuse me, I have the burps because I just took a drink of some Diet Coke, so I now have the burps. But basically now what I'm going to do, because I have not yet heard if my copy of Onyx Storm has gotten to my mom's house as of yet, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into my next read, which is going to be Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This is the naked hardback. I showed this in last week's vlog, where it's got the cover of the book that the main character is writing called Rusted Robots. So I'm going to work on this. The book itself is, I want to say, probably around the 400 page mark. Yeah, it's 435 pages, so I expect to be working on this for at least the next couple of days. I don't really have anything going on today. Like, I don't have an audiobook that I'm working on currently that I want to necessarily listen to. Like, I'm just trying to slowly get through my TBR. But this book is for Brandy's Patreon group read, which is, this is like our January read, so I wanted to get this done as soon as I could. And I've been very excited for it since I saw it, and since I read the synopsis. So excited to get into this one, and let's go ahead and see what I think. Also, this is an autographed copy. So there's Nnedi's signature. Very, very happy to have this. And I love this naked hardback with the sprayed edges and everything. I love that this is something we get now with books. I think it's just the bee's knees, to put it lightly. Okay, so it is just after noon on Wednesday. Second snow day in a row, or cold day, I guess. And so far, no updates of like if Thursday is going to be a cold day as well. I'm going to guess not, because when looking at the temperatures for like tomorrow morning, it looked like it was going to be at least, without wind chill, above 0. So we'll definitely have to be going back to work tomorrow, which is fine. It's only 2 days. I can handle it. But I'm getting ready to do sprints a little earlier than I had initially planned, because today was going to be an early release for us, so I was going to be home by about 2, and I was going to do sprints about 2:30, but since today I'm home, I'm going to start sprints here shortly. And I'm working currently through Death of the Author. I'm about almost 60 pages in, and I really like this so far. It's more about really the character that's going through like a really rough patch in terms of like their writing, their personal life, their career, and interspersed through this are interviews with their family members and friends, and then also snippets from the book, Rusted Robots, that the main character is writing. So I like it a lot so far. I think it's very interesting. It's very fun to read, I think, honestly, despite how heavy some of the content is. And I'm just excited to see what's going on with it. I pretty much like flew through the first 60 pages almost yesterday in almost one sitting. And I plan on doing sprints for the majority of the day today. Robert is actually, the reason I'm up here in the library and not downstairs doing sprints is because Robert is home doing his training. He's able to do his training and stuff he needs for work at home, but it goes from like 12:30 to 6:30. So I don't want to bother him doing sprints while he's in a Zoom doing his training. So I decided to come up here, give him some space, and it's been a minute since I've actually been able to be up here in the library. Mostly because I think that it's just gotten really messy because of all the stuff I was doing with like my candle business and stuff like that, and it's a mess. Like, I have a whole pile of shoes right here that I had to move from my office when we got the desk made for Robert, and I had no place to put these, so upstairs they went. I have like all these boxes of like wax melt containers and candle containers and everything. And then you can see like I got all of this stuff over here from when I did that event in June of last year. It's just a mess. It's a mess, and I don't want to deal with it, and nobody's gonna make me deal with it except myself, and I don't really want to deal with it, so we're not gonna do it. But yeah, I'm gonna sit in my rocking chair. I've got like a whole stack of books next to me that are books that I'm going to be getting rid of that I need to like figure out what to do with. I'm probably just gonna donate them to Volunteers of America. But yeah, for right now, that's kind of where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and get my live show started up so that I can do sprints here. Robert ordered us some lunch, so that should get here fairly soon. And we'll kind of go from there. So I will let you guys know when I've made more progress in Death of an Author. Or Death of the Author. I always say it's Death of an Author. It's Death of the Author. I'll let you know when I get through more of this. Okay, hello. You are sitting in my cupboard because I can't find another high enough placement for this in my kitchen because I'm in the process of making dinner. It is Thursday. I've had a very, very rough day at work. Truthfully, today was rough. My kid was unmedicated today. That's all you really need to know. But I ended up going out to the bookstore because I needed to go pick up my copy, or a copy basically, of Mask of the Deer Woman by Lori L. Dove. This is an Indigenous written mystery thriller, and this is the book I was planning on reading for students for this month. All I really know about this is it is dealing with missing Indigenous women. I could have picked Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina for this, but I wanted something that was a little bit more recent. Like I wanted a newer release, and I looked at a list of like really popular Indigenous authors or books, like people that were like books that were really interesting and stuff like that. I looked up this list basically, and this one was on that list. This is, I believe, a debut. And yeah, debut thriller, at least. And this may have a little bit of fantasticalness to it because it is involving a mythical creature called the Deer Woman, which I'm not sure what that is in terms of like where, like what tribe it's associated with or whatever. But it's basically about an ex-detective from Chicago who goes back to the reservation where they were raised at, and the reservation needs a new marshal, so this character decides to take it up. But there's been a lot of women that have been obviously missing from the reservation. If you've never heard of missing and murdered Indigenous women, MMIW, I think is what the acronym is. It basically is a group that is trying to find the missing and possibly murdered, or for sure murdered, Indigenous women and also children that basically like have gone missing in the last, several years, because it is no secret to me, or it shouldn't be a secret to anyone, especially no matter what kind of Indigenous you're talking about. If you're talking Indigenous Americans, Indigenous South Americans, Indigenous Australians, whatever the case may be, a lot of times they go missing because who's gonna miss them? Not any of the normal populace. They're a lot of times so isolated from the rest of the countries that they're a part of that if they go missing, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people that are going to kick up a fuss other than the rest of the Indigenous people. And contemporary culture does not necessarily give two shits about that. So this is a book that basically like goes into a little bit about that. And there is like this kind of myth within the reservation and everything, involving the Deer Woman. This is a really short book. This is, I think, less than I was expecting it to be. I'm gonna assume it's probably like 300 some pages. 322. A lot smaller than I thought it was gonna be. I was thinking it was gonna be more like maybe 350, but it's okay. I think I'm gonna like this. Like I said, this is my pick for the month of January for Studis, which is the Native American Indigenous Authors Readathon that is hosted by Native Lady Book Warrior. I will leave her information down in the description. But in addition to that, I was kind of looking through, seeing if there's anything else I needed or anything else I wanted, because I really only came for that. But I saw this next thing, and I was like, yoink, that's mine, because I didn't know this was out already. Monstrous Volume 9 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. Oh my god, The Possessed. I am so excited. Y'all know, if you've been on my channel for a while, I will constantly reread Monstrous every time there's a new volume out, a new volume of the series out, because I love this series so much. It is very fantastical and has a little sci-fi element to it. It's very dystopic, and it basically deals with a badass character who literally has a monster inside of her. And there's a lot of reason as to why, and there's a lot of backstory with it that I really love, and there's like all these different areas that are fighting for power. Like, it's amazing. So I reread this series like every single time a new volume of the series comes out, because I can't help myself to not do that. And a lot of times too, it's because it's been a while since I've read it. Like, it'll have been like a year and a half, and so I need a refresher. And the funny thing is it's never tedious for me to go back through and reread these, because they're graphic novels. They're super easy to fly through. Like, I probably read a graphic novel within 45 minutes to an hour. I can spend an entire day going through this series, but I'm very excited for this. This contains issues 49 through 54, and as far as I know, there is no stopping this series. Like, I think that there is so much more to explore with this. I am so excited, especially because in the last volume, we had some major reveals happen in terms of our main character and where she comes from and who her family is. Oh, I'm so excited. Anyway, so those are the two books I ended up getting today. Also, as far as I know, my Onyx Storm copy has not arrived yet, but when I was at the bookstore, there was a ton of Onyx Storm copies, and I was very, very tempted to get one, but I'm like, it's gonna come. I'm gonna get it this weekend. I'm gonna get it this weekend. I gotta hold out. So technically this week I'll have had 3 books to haul, but that's neither here nor there. So now let's get into my talk about Rusted Robots, or Death of the Author, writing Rusted Robots. I just saw the title of this and just was like, that's the name of the book. No, it's not. So currently I am on page 155. I am on chapter 20, and I still really like this. I think I'm not necessarily as excited about it as I think I want it to be going into it. Like, I'm reading it and I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm flying through it. I'm having a great time. I'm finding no qualms with it. I'm not having any issues with it. But for some reason, I don't think I'm as excited about it as I initially thought I was going to be when it came to this. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, because I feel like I've been like raving about it since I started reading it, but like, I would be surprised if this didn't end up a 5-star for me. I think it would take a lot for me to drop it a star in general. But I'm like, the excitement I think was like intended to be here, and I'm more like maybe here. Like my actual like excitement with it and everything. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. But what else is going on? Oh, the husband has just arrived. There's a hi, Oscar. He does this. He hops on the counter to look out the back window every time one of us pulls up. It is so stinking cute. But it's actually perfect because the dinner's going to be ready in about 5.5 minutes. But I wanted to update you guys on how things are going, what's going on. Sprints I didn't really do as long as I wanted to. Yesterday I kind of started getting a headache, and I was really just tired. I went back to the high school this morning to do some observation hours, and that went pretty good. I mean, with it being the first day of their new semester, like, it kind of just, it was what it was. Like, there'll be more stuff to do tomorrow. But, hi, Oscar. Oh, boy. Oh, no. And out they go. So, yeah, basically, like, I don't know if you've heard that, but that was Dougie. They get so excited when we get home. They seriously, like, it's as if, like, we've been gone for 2 weeks or something like that, and we'll only have been gone for the day. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically all I've got really for you guys. It's not really a whole heck of a lot. I do plan on reading more tonight. I would like to get to at least the 250 page mark of Death of the Author. I'm really trying to get through all of the books I had on my TBR this month, which includes Mask of the Deer Woman and a lot of other things, but I don't know if it's going to happen. keep your fingers crossed for me, because I've also got Blood Over Brighthaven, I've got Empire of Shadows, I have Lights Out, I have Assassin's Apprentice. Like, I got at least 4 or 5 other books that I still need to get through this month, and that's a lot. And that's not including Onyx Storm when I get my hands on it, because everything is going to stop when I get Onyx Storm, so I can, like, cram through that. But we'll see when I get that. We'll see what happens. But at this point, I am expecting I'm going to explode when I start getting through that book, because I thankfully have not seen any spoilers, knock on wood, but I've seen a lot of people by the end of it have their jaws down to the floor, just like they were with Iron Flame. So I am excited, and yet I am nervous at the same time. Anyway, I am gonna go, and I will see you guys later when I've made some progress in Death of the Author. Hey guys, it is Monday. I have just gotten home from work and realized I forgot to close out this vlog. Also, I look like a complete egg. I apologize, but I did want to come on and say I did end up finishing Death of the Author on Saturday, because I did my Saturday sprints and I managed to finish it during my Saturday sprints. 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved this. Such a very beautifully done story that is both, you know, heartbreaking and poignant and uplifting and just all around inspiring as an aspiring author myself. So definitely go pick this one up if you get a chance, especially if you've never read anything by Nnedi Okorafor before, and maybe if you're someone that's not necessarily super into sci-fi or haven't really been able to find a good way to get into sci-fi. This is, I think, a great bridge between literary fiction and sci-fi without being too heavy-handed on the sci-fi-ness. And I found no issues with it whatsoever, other than like every now and then the characters would get a little annoying, but they were kind of written to be that way, if that makes sense. So I just fell in love with this book, and I think this is gonna probably go, this is so far probably my favorite book of the year. I don't think that that is too early to say, because at this point I've read quite a few books, and so far this one is my #1 favorite. But in terms of like the stats with Caw Pile, we'll see whether or not, you know, it ends up being the top rated one, like the highest rating. So we shall see, but definitely go pick this up if you get a chance. It is very, very good. Then I decided to let my wheel pick what I was going to read between the other books I have in my TBR next, and it ended up going with an unread book project book, which, if you're not familiar with that, basically I have over 5,000, almost 6,000 books that are in totality of my library, between all my ebooks, physical books, and my audiobooks that I have that are like mine, like I own them. And I have been trying to slowly, since about middle of last year, whittle down my unread TBR, which can be done with like my actual TBR, like certain books that I'm going to be reading for readathons and stuff. But outside of that, I decided to do something where like every now and then, hopefully I would be able to pick another book off of that unread TBR. And so this one, we ended up being able to go with a book called A Royal Farce by something Heffernen, Lana Heffernen, something like that. This is basically a romantic comedy, friends to lovers, marriage of convenience kind of story. This, I'm already like about 15% into it, and basically it's about this girl who, or woman I should say, who one of her best friends for the last couple of years, who is a foreigner. He's from a small island off of the coast of France. He ends up asking her to marry him very suddenly with no preamble whatsoever, because he is looking to get his green card. Like, if you've ever seen the movie The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, this is basically The Proposal, except the main characters start off as friends, whereas in The Proposal they start off as kind of like ambivalent acquaintances, or at the very least, you know, you had like a situation where it was a boss versus an underling kind of thing, and she like begged him to marry her so that she could get her green card, because the point with the male love interest within this is that his mother is very domineering and very manipulative and obsessive over her control of her son, and so she wants him to come back to their island and come back home and, you know, do things as she wants him to do, but he is not for that. He does not want that, and so he thinks the only way to get out of it is to get a green card and establish himself more in line with the United States. And the only way to do that for him is to get married. So he asks, you know, so he asks our main character, because they're really good friends, they get along very well, and he thinks that she's like a perfect idea of, you know, what he would want in a spouse of any kind. And meanwhile, the main character has had this huge crush on him for basically ever since she met him. And there is an animal companion in this. There is a little dog, a little Yorkie that we get to see that kind of was like the kickstart of their friendship, because the Yorkie, they said in the book, was like kind of like got under their gate and then ran off into his yard because these two are neighbors. And all the while, you know, this main character is dealing with trying to renovate the apartment that's above her to possibly sell off the house and, you know, or possibly rent it out, you know, the apartment and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of like other moving parts within this. Like, it's not just a romance, like there's actual like substance behind the characters, which I like. But I'm kind of unsure if I want to continue with it, only because like I do feel like it's a lot like The Proposal, in the sense that like it almost feels exactly like how The Proposal would go in this kind of a situation. But I'm not necessarily jiving with the characters, I'm not necessarily jiving with the writing, but I'm also not quite ready to give up on it just yet. I feel like I kind of want to see this one through, even if it does kind of seem iffy to me. Like, this is probably going to be somewhere in like a 3 to 4 star range, which is not abnormal for me, but that's based off of the first like 15% of the book, and I'm not really like necessarily enjoying it, but I'm not enjoying it either, you know. Like, I'm just kind of like in a weird lukewarm position, but I'm not in a position where I feel like I can outright say I'm just gonna DNF this kind of thing. I kind of want to see this through a little bit more and see what there is to it. But today I have a ton of homework to do. I'm trying to get my laptop to turn on, but for some reason it will not, and I do not know why, and that is concerning, considering that this laptop has everything I need on it and also is my mode of being able to do my schoolwork, and so I'm a little nervous as to why it's not wanting to turn on. But I think it's because it's cold. Like, the whole thing is freezing because it was been sitting in my car all day while I was at work after I left from my observation hour, and so I'm thinking it just needs to kind of warm up a little bit, and then it'll hopefully turn itself on. It'll turn on. Keep your fingers crossed for me. But obviously that's basically going to be it for this video. I do have a Patreon that you can go view these videos early, and also get some other cool like little things here and there from me, especially if you subscribe to the top tiers. All that stuff is linked in the description for you guys. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be and want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.